we're talking about before. And the reason why I want to talk about this and bring it up is I don't know if any of you are feeling a lot of different energies simultaneously affecting you or affecting someone you know. And we must remember that we are truly multidimensional beings. And when we go to sleep, we do go off and work. Our higher selves have other things they do, some which is adjusting the physical body, mind, and ego of the person on the planet and feeding them information. And other times we are off doing things. And while there are a lot of people who are spiritual, a lot of people who are studying spirituality and working on this, many times they think that we should only be focused. We want to be focused on the beauty and the grace of everything around us. But this comes with recognition of what's occurring on the planet and in the universe and through our multidimensional aspects. We are like a living tree. This is a tree. And we are the luminescence behind this of the mother of pearl shell or the opal is what we carry. And we are the tree with many branches. So if somebody's coming to you and saying, you know, I don't look at and involve myself in something like the vaccine. There is nothing on the planet that isn't part of the divine consciousness, manifesting and shifting for people. And if you have information on this and you have studied this, then to share this is wisdom, light, and beauty. If you don't, it's not about judging who is taking the vaccine or not. It's about sharing our wisdom that we each carry. And we each carry multiple levels of information. So if I'm walking around, and I'm gonna jump a little bit right now. If I'm walking around and I see what I think is good for the next person, in other words, what is important for the next person, I may actually be right. This is their next step in reaching a new level of consciousness. But I can't possibly know the different branches of trees, the different things that are coming in to affect them before they take that next step to write a book, to take a new course, to go in a different direction. So I'm saying when we have this knowledge of information and we want to share it without judgment, to share it with perspectives that are open. If I'm talking, let me give you one example, jump back. Jack Temple, who lives in, well, I think he's passed now, but he lived in England, and he did homeopathy and radionics. And he would go to travel someplace around the world to find a root in a specific tree that he could make into a homeopathic tablet to heal something. And he went to Malaysia from England, and he was journeying up to where he thought he needed to go. And he stopped at a stand, and the man said, and he was asking, I'm looking for something up here, I'm being guided. And the man said, yes, you're about 2 weeks late. I close my shop normally 2 weeks before because of the rainy season. And, but he said, I've waited here for you. And he went and they went into the forest and they found a specific root that had a specific energy that healed the problem with the potassium that was happening when people would go and visit Egypt. So I got to have that remedy because he listened to his higher self. And the person who had the shop, imagine somebody coming and saying, well, you should be closing this shop now because, you know, this is when you close the shop. But we're not single dimensional people. We have a higher self. We have our own guidance. And it's not just one guidance, it's a multiple of levels. And so if he hadn't stayed there, he might not have known. He may have been led another way, but he might not have known to meet this man, the man being there and going and finding him. So when we are talking to people, we want to remember that what we see is part of their journey, but it's not the whole aspect of their journey in how they're getting there. And therefore, to make judgments or to say, well, I think everybody should just be love and light and walk in the forests and see God in one perspective from one direction, and not open your perspectives and open your understanding that there are many paths to the source and connecting. Does this make any sense to everybody? And if you find people who are there trying to tell you about keeping this perspective of just talking about pure love and light and not bringing it down to some of the reality that we're density, is still part of the God source. And what it means is you can talk about things, but in a perspective that raises consciousness and wisdom. And some people just are very insecure because they don't have the knowledge of, they think you should do this, but they haven't done the research. And so they have fear, so they get angry, or their ego comes in, because who wants to be told that they made a mistake or that they're wrong? We all are human, so we make mistakes. We can do something that may not be of the highest good for ourselves or others. But if we're open to understanding and receiving factual knowledge of how things function here on the earth plane, with the tiniest microbe and virus and bacteria, how can you possibly go and see the multidimensional layers and open yourself up to the universe and everything that's in it? Because I've been 5 levels of conscious awareness consciously. And then I'm not even knowing half of what I'm linked to. And so I know that there are times I have wanted to pick up and go off and, but I know that there are people that I am affecting in a positive way when I sometimes do research on certain things, whether it be if I'm teaching chakras or energy healing, or if I'm a scientist, or if I'm a political leader trying to lead the country. It's taking the next step with your higher self and the God consciousness leading you, and not making judgments of others. So enough for my lecture. Meenakshi, do you want to share just your thing that you did with me before?
I might not share that here right
Okay,
now on recording, but
okay,
I do want to share something based on what you've said. I will share with most of the people who are here, actually with all of them later. And which is that what I wanted to share right now, based on what you said, is that just like we don't, how we see other people. And I saw that another way in which we can hurt one another, there are two ways we can injure another person by our vision. And by we, I mean those of us who are working with other people in these conscious ways. One is in not seeing their light, and the second is not seeing how they see themselves. And I know that I often make the second mistake because I realize that when I am speaking to someone, because I see their light, now I see the lights everywhere. So I immediately see their light. Otherwise, they're not in my life. Just like what you were saying earlier before the people came, is that if I don't see someone's light, I don't take them as close to me, either personally or as in working with them. But um, if I am working with someone and I see their light and they don't see it, then they start coming down to another level of communication, and then it breaks apart. And I realized this was my error, because I should have seen this from the beginning, and from the beginning approach them in another way. And not everyone is open to receiving light, that also we can see, and then we have to just move away. And I've always seen that this happens when I try by mistake to be a crutch and help someone too much, more than is right for me to do. So this was just a little bit of a segue from what you said.
yes, that's excellent. And it's also when we have emails or something and somebody comes from a different perspective and you're trying to talk about, I'm trying to talk about this tree. And somebody wants to bring in another tree in another land that has no relationship, let's say another plant, not even another plant. They're talking about another country, not a tree, because I'm talking about a tree. Their perspective has just taken me off to another country and another subject, as opposed to working with this subject. This subject can go to a tree in another country and to this and that and to examples of what I'm talking about. But if you try to take it off tangent, and if you're beginning to feel um, something you're not connecting, then that is another time, as Meenakshi said, to just realize that this isn't working. So you just let that that light or the relationship go, and keep it in love. And if you keep it, sometimes we have to keep it where they are with light and love, and step back and be quiet from where we are, because people can't always see where we are or who we are or accept who we are in the fullness from their perspective. So I guess it's more that. Anyway,
I'll just
anybody
add,
have any?
sorry, Tavita, I know we're all waiting for the meditation, but one thing I will add, because you had asked me to, and I know how I can say it, and that is forgiveness, because it is the Jain time of forgiveness. There were two people, one person who, the same person that I was talking about, that I saw her light, but she couldn't see her own light. And so there was some sort of disharmony among us. And she wrote to me that the forgiveness words of the Jains, which is just the same words that everyone writes. They're not personal words, and they're just forgiveness. So it's not the whole Ho'oponopono. And so harmony was anyway between us. Then another person who many of you, some of you know here, whom I was having a disharmony with, I said, you know what, Minakshi, it is hurt, it is troubling you. You've got to go. And I went and I said the same words to her. I said them to a few other people also. And I don't think she saw the message because she wasn't seeing my WhatsApp messages. But I went for a pedicure. I met her. And how did I meet her? We're all masked, but we recognize one another. It doesn't matter if you're masked or not. And I suddenly hear the voice and I say, "What?" And we had such a beautiful, loving message. I think some of you know what I'm talking about. It was so beautiful. This is miraculous. And of course, there were some other things which had been done, but I really feel if we can get over, it takes a lot of courage to go and say sorry to someone who you don't think you've done anything wrong to. But this thing is a very powerful changing and transforming tool.
Thank you. Yes. Well, welcome everybody. Does anybody have anything else to add to this, like a small example of understanding that we are multi-purpose people and we have multi-purpose things going on with us. And I wake up in the morning and I have spent a half an hour clearing my body and getting realigned because energies come to me. Not everybody has this, lucky ones who don't have this. But if you do, just remember, I think what I'm doing when I use spatial light clearing every morning to make a clearings and realignment so that my body is back into alignment from all the different things we've been doing. And we can still be here talking and part of ourselves are off doing something else, because as we become clearer in this lighter frequency, we can see that our souls are I don't know what the word for it is, but we are multi-dimensional, not just with the soul presence of this body, but through that body and through others. It's very complex. Anyway, anybody else have anything else to add? I'd like you to be thinking of a word. So I'm just gonna call your name, and if you just unmute and quickly give me a word that you'd like to be using again today. Meenakshi, that you would like to focus on during the meditation. Just one
Love.
word.
Love.
Love, okay. Tanis?
Giving.
What is it?
Giving.
Giving,
of
okay.
myself, giving, yeah.
Giving, okay, great. Nina?
Compassion.
Compassion, okay. Maria?
Vision. Vision.
Listen, oh, I like that.
No,
Listen.
vision.
Oh, vision.
Mhm.
Okay. And Adriana?
Energize.
Energize. And Tree?
Healing.
Healing, okay, great. And
We
for
can
me,
add listen also. We can also add listen, because listen and vision are.
I did add it. We definitely need that one. We definitely all need that one. And just remember, sometimes this is a very difficult time. So for some of us, if we get a little bit angst or a little bit annoyed because we're feeling all these energies or something isn't going perfect that we think is perfect, it's to remember to just breathe and realize it's not just about loving ourselves or that we're all one. Some of us already know that. It's about we are expanding into the amazing beings of people, humanity, and taking on this new form of clairaudient, clairsentient, psychic abilities, manifesting healing instantly. And these, we have to adjust these physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually on all the different planes as we're moving up and integrating with our higher self and the higher consciousness. And therefore, we carry the light, we carry the intention, we carry the grace, we carry the beauty. But there are a lot of things going on, and we must not forget that spiritual warriors are also needed on this planet. And we cannot judge those out there who are working for raising the conscious level of awareness and for the things to come that are going to be coming out and that are needed to come out. That is the wisdom. There's wisdom to science. There's wisdom to the bugs on the earth. There's wisdom to understanding how things fit together. So you have to understand clearing these things, and we clear them with light, but we clear them with knowledge and facts as well. So if you can't answer questions, send people somewhere else if someone comes to you. Okay, let's begin by first getting really comfortable and taking a breath and having a glass of water if you've got one. Your glass of water, and breathe in the green light. Each one of you, please ask and invite in your guides, your helpers. Become comfortable and relaxed. We're going to go on a journey to integrate not only our higher selves to source, but we're going on this journey of unity and alignment. Imagine a beautiful, beautiful luminescent green light, a beautiful, beautiful, bright green, yellow light flowing down around you. Leaves falling off trees, bringing you oxygen as your shoulders relax and you relax your spine deeper and deeper. Your whole body becomes totally encased in this beautiful, luminescent, opaline green light. Your energy fields absorb this green light. Your body breathes in the light from your crown, and your crown opens. And above your crown, 3 inches, 6 inches, 12 and higher, you are opening in your perfect alignment to your body, connecting to source, connecting to the Creator. You are aligning into love, into the pure love of humanity. This is the love of pure light. It is a love that goes deeper without any conditions. You feel it flowing down into your brain, into the nervous system, into your blood. You breathe it through your lungs. As you breathe, you will feel and see the earth breathing in this light, taking it in to clear the waters of your body and the waters of the lakes and rivers and oceans around you, flowing out from your body. You breathe it in deeper deeper into your organs, every organ, more and more light with a tinge of blue is flowing through your body. Clearing out the toxins, you release and relax deeper. It goes into your heart and into the energy field of your emotional body. It is now adjusting the alpha biotic frequency and releasing all the past energies. Alpha biotics, network spinal analysis, frequency energies, and energetic self-alignment through your bones that is making them stronger and stronger. You are relaxing deeper and deeper, deeper into the compassion of your mind, connected to God, seeing that compassion flowing over the earth, clearing. And as it clears, you listen to the trees whisper. You listen to the ocean. You may find yourself at the ocean and feel the waves bringing the salt and the healing breeze over your body. The waves of the trees and the palms come around your body, bringing more oxygen into your body, emerging and bringing you energy. It's the energy of the earth. It's the energy of the cosmos. The cosmos opens up and the stars and the planets and the universe open up your energy fields. So you begin to align to the higher consciousness to which you are given the healing powers of God consciousness now. Source flows into your hands, flows through your body, flows up through your feet and all the way up, healing your body and sending out from your body waves of magenta light through your energy fields, sending out love. The giving light that is in your hands now is a flame of light. You find yourself near the beach of the oceans or near a lake or on a mountaintop, and you can see the oceans around you. And pouring out of your hand and your third eye, around your body are flames, flames of healing light particles, forming a crystalline ball through each of your energy fields. Your physical body is clear. Your body listens to everything that is around you. The energy fields open up, and your higher selves, the flame of light, moves into the consciousness of your consciously conscious awareness. And it is opening it up for you to hear, to listen. Listen to the wisdom of your higher self. Listen to the earth and the plants, to what they have to offer you. The flower essence, the essence of the old energies in the earth made into formulas for us to inhale. The very vibrations of who we are as energy beings. We take in the energies now of the light beings, of the Reiki, of the spatial light, the diamond light, the healing light. Your own healing vibrational energy is now forming within the consciousness of your mind, is flowing out of your brain and head, out of your mind, out of your body, farther and farther out in perfect alignment. You are now getting the vision of who you are. You are seeing yourselves as a deep, loving, compassionate, energized, giving, fully listening and hearing conscious being on the earth. And out from your body, wherever you go, are these healing light vibrations. They flow out of your eyes, for it is the sight that you see and carry. It opens up the portals of listening and healing and remembering. And remembering to take our information, our wisdom, the grace that we carry as happy, joyful light with great humility, great honor, great respect for everything that is on the planet. Breathing in that light, feeling that light flowing down in rainbow strands through our body, making our spine stronger and stronger and stronger to be aligned within the physical body, the emotional body, the mental body, the spiritual body, the God conscious body, the God creator body, the God union and service body, the God unity of one. There may be music that you hear surrounding you, enhancing all that you have taken in, that you are now transformed, transcendent, shifted to a new level. It opens. It opens. We allow ourselves to go into the quiet, to hear ourselves now with the blessings of this healing light. We are the light beings, the masters, accepting without assumption and judgment the great insight of the beauty of each being on the planet and their journey, we say to ourselves, I am pure healing light. I am totally energized, and I can be that way the minute I see a tree or a flower. And with that, our compassion is seen in everyone's eyes that we meet. We are giving love. We are visioned of the peace and the joy and the vision that we carry for ourselves to achieve that greater communication and opening of who we are as a being of light. We clear constantly, and our powers are continually expanded through this wave of divine presence. And we honor ourselves. We do not even think that we are not on our path every moment. I am on my path. I am pure light. I am compassion. I am love. I am energy healing. I am the vision of this new world. I am. I am grace, and I am wisdom. I am the flower of light, and it is with great humility that I stop and I breathe. I give myself spatial light clarity, and I listen. And I listen. And I gain greater insight, and I can communicate much better. And so it is. We are the blessings, as is everyone. We thank you, we thank you, we thank you. And so it is. The light and the earth are now in unison, and the flames of the multidimensional beings are in unison. And more light shines on the planet. Thank you. Namaste. We thank you for this healing space and for joining us. When you are ready, please open your eyes and feel the divine presence that you carry as you come back into the unity of a beautiful, bright light being on the planet. If there is something you would like to share, please unmute yourself.
So many things, but I was 19 years old, so they took me back to my to that happy child and full of love and compassion and like innocence, basically, to remind me to stay there no matter what I see around me or whatever happens in my life. That's my essence, to always go back to that. I even saw myself like walking around places I used to be at that age. Like I at one point I was like, no, but I wanted to be at the beach, and they told me, no, you're gonna be here. And then they did a surgery on me, on a part of my body that has been challenging me. I actually felt how they remove, and then they wrap it. And they told me that was part of my, because I've been feeling very tired. And then after COVID, of course, that's why I said energized. But for 2 years, I've been dealing with, why am I so tired? And they said that was part of being tired, because there was something that needed to be removed there.
Oh,
So we will see. I have never had a
fantastic.
surgery like that. Like I really felt, I didn't feel pain, but I felt the remove of whatever was there. So thank you.
Wow. Thank you. And the fact that they took you back to that child place is that we must remember we are as a child, as we're looking at the universe, we carry the wisdom, and we are as that child.
Mm.
So that is so important. They take me back to that, just being born or child, or like it says, you can't pass through the needle unless you're a child, but it means a child of God, a child of light, to have that energy and that beauty. Thank you for that.
Mhm.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. Anybody else want to share?
I'll share.
Okay.
Thank you so much. As always, those meditations are so beautiful. I enjoy very much the colors, the magentas and the greens. Towards the end, I felt like a dance of these energies, like a flame that doesn't burn, that was all in my aura dancing. And it's funny because in my dreams last night, I was dancing on the ocean. And so it was like this beautiful, the energies were dancing around me, and that was very beautiful. And then they gave me some very detailed grounding information of my regular life. There's 1, 2, 3 things, So it reminds me of, for me at this time, it's very important to be grounded. In the last meditation, I was part of it, but I was listening through Andreina, so I wasn't on camera. I got a lot of the visuals of crystal clear quartz. They were big. And so I think it's the groundingness at this time is essential for all of us, actually, because of how much energy we're receiving. And then I realized how deep, more than I ever thought of, because I was busy moving. And this is the first time I stopped for 6 weeks, pretty much, after COVID and not working. I've been nonstop working. So in my own journey and outside in the world. So it's the first time I realized how deep my wound of abandonment really, truly, and dearly is. So I've done a lot of healing work around it, but today I was really very conscious about that and how that triggers other things. So I think I just need to honor that and just give love.
Fantastic. Thank you. And the fact that you, as soon as you said the crystal, that is so important, because as we're doing this light, you touched that we're healing all the way down the earth into the crystals. And as we're doing the work, the crystals are taking it up and working to heal the planet. So thank you for that. And for that also how you're feeling, because once you've spoken it, it's so much easier to release it and deal with it. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Anybody else have something they'd like to share? Tanis?
Thank you, Meenakshi, again for keeping this space alive and open, and Taveta for a beautiful ceremony and holding space. Many things came, but some words came very strong, and they kept on repeating itself. And it says, the meditation took me actually to the shape of a light particle, a tiny, 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 tiny little light particle, where all the colors that Maria just mentioned and all the colors that you mentioned in the meditation came together into a very tiny particle, almost like a dust particle. And the moment I got to that position, these words came very strong. Says, you are a force, but you cannot force. You are a force, but you cannot force. And it reminded me of the comment that Meenakshi made before. and the takeaway I got from that is simply by being, you're doing more than what you think you're not doing. And so the amount of force that we are, even at the shape of a tiny little spark of light, can really help with ourselves and those around us, and not necessarily have to force anything. That everything that will be done and needs to be done is already being done, and that we don't have to force. And so that became very strong. You know, we are a force, a very strong force, but we don't need to force. And similar to what Andreina mentioned, I felt a significant work going on between the digestive and the respiratory system. I couldn't quite understand what it was, but I guess Andreina answered my question.
The
Thank
circular.
you for your time.
Thank you. First, I love this. I love what you saw, because that even helped. That's why people say we need to do, but when we're in that space, thank you, we just are that. We don't need to force. We don't need to force. Our energy is strong enough. There's nothing to add. It's perfect. Thank you for that. Force, that analogy. And just to add to that, a little bit of force from us is like a blast to people. We don't, I think that's what I wanted to say. When I want to say something or do something, and I think I'm trying to tell somebody something, because sometimes your presence is all that's needed, right? Or just a word. You don't need to be out there doing that. A thought, one thought will do it. So thank you for that. And now you said your digestive system, and what was it?
Well, I felt a force, a really strong presence of pure healing download, for lack of a better term, in that space that we in the physical plane call digestive and respiratory.
Yes.
But it could be anyway. But
and the lymphatic system.
Yeah, a very strong sensation, good sensation, but a lot of work from a lot of force.
Oh, good. I would say that you hit the nail on the head about what everybody's going through, because digesting what we're seeing around us, digesting the food that we take in, right? Digesting the air and all that we breathe is very difficult for our systems. And I think this ties into your light particle. I want to take that light particle and remind us that we want to use that on ourselves. So think of yourself as a light particle. When you're digesting your food, when you're breathing, when you're seeing the toxins around you, because sometimes we can't help but engage with people or things that are carrying the toxins, and it's hard for our bodies to clear all that physically. And the lymphatic system has to clear it all. And that's why people now are having tumors in their digestive tract and their intestine and the lymph system, because they can't clear it out enough. So I think we might say in the morning for spatial light clearing, and have the intention of what you told us about, seeing that particle, drinking water, have the consciousness just for a few minutes that particle's in the water and it's doing the clearing for us, or it's in the food we take, with the consciousness, because our consciousness doesn't want to be on this isn't good and that isn't good and all the other things. If we shift the consciousness to put the healing light and that love in it from the God source, it will help with the food and what we're taking in. Thank you. because that's a big one for me. Thank you. Anything else on that? Anybody else have something, please, they want to add? Nina, anybody? We are at 11, but anybody else? Tree, would you like to add anything? Nobody wants to share anything else on the digestion or something that they got?
I would
Meenakshi?
say that digestion is, thank you for bringing it up. I've been feeling that for the last couple of months,
Yes,
big time.
yes, big
A
time.
lot to take in.
It
Oh,
is because
so much.
it's our brain, and don't forget, it's our brain down there.
Right.
And I think the 9 responsibilities and getting our thoughts, every single thought that we think has to be so pure. In other words, get that thought into the right formation for ourselves when we see it. So we're stepping away from the judging and the critiquing into perhaps the analysis and the lesson or something else for it, and then let it transform quickly. Because you can eat poison and be fine, but if we're not in that clarity space, that poison will affect us. So yeah, anyway, well, thank you, Tanis. That was fantastic. Anybody else have something who
I would
hasn't
like to
shared?
share something real quick, just because it was very important for me this morning. I've been looking for some answers, and I've been in the uncomfortable place, which is a place of growth, which I know, but it's uncomfortable nonetheless. So yesterday I pulled out a card from Alberto Villoldo's deck, and it came the mountain to have the vision. And so this morning I've been reading in different places that we're closing a cycle of 20 years. So this morning I went back to that, and I know that life, we evolve in the spiral, and there's cycles and cycles. And I think it's the first time in my life that I can look back 20 years and I have enough, experiences to be able to draw, the essence of this big 20-year cycle. And I just want to share with you all that apparently that's one of the things that we're right now doing, is going through this period of closing a 20-year cycle. And then this morning, just going back into 2001 to 2021 was like I was being on top of the mountain. And I was like, wow, okay, this is this and this. And now I'm here at this point. And so it really helped me. So I just wanted to share the 20-year cycles. And if it helps you to think, kind of go back and see where you were at 2021, in 2001, and everything that happened, and how now these next 20 years that are starting, if you're conscious of what you went through, you'll be able to understand very deep and interesting things about your journey.
That's perfect. That's so perfect, because back then was, for me, I was on the mountain, I was in the Alps. And when people were being so worried about, the computers crashing, and I'm going, no, don't worry about this. This is, and I went in and I saw people starting to get very fearful, and then they started forming different groups and then they came out, and then they all came back together. So you're right, this is another cycle, bigger, more profound in different ways to transform humans on the planet, but it's another cycle. And thank you, that's perfect. That helps. Who else would like to share? Anybody who hasn't want to share?
Nina, where are you? tree. Nina was here. I don't know where
I
she
know,
is now.
maybe she's still meditating or whatever. Meenakshi, do you want to share?
I was actually trying to share a picture of a mountain that we had seen yesterday. How responsibilities become responsibilities, and I don't know why it's not it's not showing it, so that's okay. But in the meditation, uh, I got a message which I don't know how to share it, so I'm not sure if I want to or not. It sounded terribly arrogant to me, but there's also, I know that there's a humility in being arrogant, so I'm going to share it. And it's about astrology and it's about the stars. Uh, I have around me many astrologers and many people who want to read my chart. And I've never really been interested in people telling me anything about my future or anything. But I have recently had it read by a Vedic astrologer, and I see normally they tell you about yourself, which you already know. But it just shows you that everything that is happening in our life is in the stars. And there are many things which I've thought about astrology over the years, and I've not wanted to put too many words on it, so I've not all often put words. But a message that I got, which seemed, what are you saying, said, if I start speaking of the stars, you don't know what you're going to receive. And I said, that sounds too arrogant. But then I just saw myself just surrounded by the stars and the planets. Like they're just here around me, and how we are just moving them, and we're just making them happen, but we're also just connected to them. And that's why, whether we know or study astrology or not, we are doing what is in the stars. We are of the stars, we are in the stars. So that's one of the messages. And then there was a vision when you said you're seeing yourself, I think you had. And I saw beautiful, I love white hair. I'm waiting, waiting, waiting. So lots of white hair like that, and then inside, then it opened, and what surprised me is the place I went to was a very enclosed, like almost like a home in a neighborhood with a pool within it, a very quiet space. So I'm happy, actually. That's probably showing me that I need to be more in the home which I am, and more in that quiet space which I am. And the message for me is, because people have been asking me, when are you going to have your physical circles or a physical retreat? And I think the message is, no, not yet.
Oh,
Thank
oh,
you
that's
so much,
lovely.
Taveta, your meditations and this group. I'm so thrilled with everyone who has come today. Karen, I'm happy you came. I know you're late, but I'm happy you're here.
Am I an hour late?
Yeah.
I have terrible time figuring out Eastern and all the other times. When it doesn't say Pacific time, I'm lost.
But just,
I thought I could go back to bed.
well,
I
no,
thought,
go back and listen to the meditation and
oh,
enjoy.
okay.
Um,
I thought I was here on time.
yeah.
Okay.
I do want to say that, you know, when they tell you things, it's not ego. To me, when they tell me who I am and what I do, if it makes me feel okay, I'm okay, you know. Sometimes I think, you know, I'm not doing. And when they say no, they'll tell me if somebody does something or says something, and they say no, they don't understand yet. This is what you're doing, and this is how it is. And you are out in the front. And in some aspects, there are people in front of you, you are following, and you are out in front of people, and they will tell me things and show me things. And I keep most of that to myself, and I keep my spirit names to myself, and I keep the speaking in tongues. I don't speak in tongues necessarily, but I sing in different, now from high and low octaves to different, with different songs that come out. And I'm not the only one on the planet. So it's not ego, it's honoring that we are multidimensional selves. And it's okay for me to say, I do all these things here, and I do all these things here. And if I can acknowledge that in myself, I can acknowledge that in you and everyone else, because people are doing it. And somebody may be in research or a politician, and they're there doing what they need to do. Some maybe not so much. They're all doing it, whether they're doing it to learn very difficult lessons, or whether they're doing it with a consciousness of not for themselves, but for everyone else, for the betterment of people. It depends on your conscious level of what you want for yourself. If you're doing this work and you want the upliftment to honor yourself and say who you are and where you're coming from, allows somebody else to speak up. And the joy, I mean, look at Maria's picture. She's just in joy, and a goddess and a god, goddesses and gods we are all. And so we must embrace that. And so I really thank you for bringing that up. That's who we are. Well, would anybody like to share anything else, or shall I just do the opening within our forehead? Meenakshi?
Yeah, please go ahead and close.
Okay.
Rita.
Okay. Bless this place that Meenakshi has provided, and bless you and all the light you carry out, and all the souls that you have touched and will touch. Blessings to all the people around, and to the angels and archangels, to the spirit guides. The lotus of light, of beautiful white green light, allow it to float in front of your forehead, sending out more and more light, bringing it up above your crown. Let it open around your crown and behind you. See these lotuses in your heart and in your hands and on your feet. With great love and light, blessings for a beautiful week, months, and each moment that you are the particle of healing light, compassion, love, vision of what's to come, creator, energizer, and listener. And so it is. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Namaste, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Thank
Great
you
day.
so much, everyone. Thank you so much, Taveta.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a great day and beautiful week.
Yours too.
Thank you.
Everybody's
Thank
voice.
you. Thank you. Thank you. I enjoy it.
next time.
Nina, you never shared.
Thank
Next
you.
time.
Bye.
Love you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Love you, Tree. Thank you.